Hi, my name's Brandon, and something you might not know about me is one of my favorite drinks is rum. I'm gonna do a brief history on rum, what it is, its background, why I like it, and the different kinds of rums out there that you can have. So let's get to it. What is rum? Rum is a distilled liquor. It's a spirit. Its age range is about 1650 is the first official record on books. Now, there were rum-like drinks before that were made similar to rum, but on the official books, at least in the Western world, as far as Britain and Europe are concerned, rum didn't exist until 1650. About this time, during the conquest of the North and South Americas, they had the sugar cane, became a very big cash crop, and it was used to produce rum. And that's one of the reasons it became such a big cash crop as far as sugar cane is concerned. And we're going to get into the different ways rum is made. So, and what it's made from. What is rum made from? Rum is made from sugarcane or sugarcane products. Originally, they would take the sugarcane and they would boil it down into a mash in the 1650s. When they did this, even before it was rum, they would call it Kill Devil or Rumbulin. There were a couple other local names, but this is the very most basic form of rum and its first incarnation, you could say, the first time rum-like drinks were introduced into the Western world. As the process got better and better, and as time went on, they started to use other sugarcane products. Eventually, just straight sugarcane was used. But nowadays, the most used product for making rum is going to be molasses. Almost all high commercial grade places like Bacardi use molasses. It's cheaper, it's more effective, and it gives a better color and taste as well. So let's get on with it. And so the fermentation process. Again, this happened again with the mash originally, but you fermentate any alcohol. Rum is no exception in this aspect. Like I said, now molasses is used more often than the mash or just straight sugarcane, though those are both still used. The mash tends to be messier and more costly to produce, and molasses is a pretty cheap byproduct of a lot of other things that are made. So molasses is mostly used in the fermentation process as the main ingredient. Now, the distillation is where rum really gets varied. All alcohols are distilled, all spirits are distilled. Most of them are all distilled in a very systematic, formulaic pattern. Rum is kind of out on its own in this. Rum is distilled in a varied of ways, from local breweries to big breweries like Bacardi. Bigger ones are going to use things like stainless steel, pot stills and things like that, where they can do large volumes, big quantities of the alcohol to ship out so they can make a bigger profit margin and have a higher quantity of sale. Smaller, more local ones or higher quality rums, particularly Jamaican rums, are going to use things like wood stills or coffee stills is a big one to give it a really rich, coffee, earthy flavor. That's a very popular one for the higher tiers of rum. You don't see that as much in North America, but you get to Jamaica or Barbados or South America, you start to see coffee stills being used more often than the stainless steel stills. So let's keep it moving. Aging. Now, rum has to be aged for a minimum of a year. That's actually a law that's at least in the United States. You have to age rum a minimum of a year before you can legally sell it for human consumption. Now, that being said, lower quality rums, like steel pot ones, like light rums, ones that you're going to see from Bacardi that are clear, probably going to be the cheapest ones. They're probably only going to be aged about a year. You get up to Kraken, some of the darker rums, maybe some Blackstrap, going to be at least 3 years probably. You get to some of the higher quality ones, some of the Jamaican ones, some of the South American ones. Some of these can be aged for more than 10 to 15 years, as other alcohols are. You generally won't see rum aged for 200 years like you would a wine. Every now and then you'll see a 100-year aged cask of rum, but that's usually more of a status symbol than someone's actually going to drink. So, moving on. The types of rum. What kinds of rum are there? Well, the first kind of rum, and this gets odd because light alcohol is usually cheaper. And for rum, this usually holds true in America. Light rums are usually the cheapest. Light can be called white, light, silver. They're generally a clear liquid, and they're going to have a almost vodka-like tone. They're going to be not as smooth, not as sipping. They're going to be more used as a mixed drink. There are some cases that are on the outskirts of this, though. You do get some very high quality light or clear rums. These are they usually call them silver at this point. When they take them and they will purify them and filter them over a charcoal filter. Filtration can take between 1 to 7 filters. So depending on how well they're filtered will depend on the quality, the price, and all of that. In addition to light rums, you have most common gold rums. Gold rums, also known as amber rums, are usually what most people are going to see in a bar. That's not the rail. So it's going to be, Bacardi has a lot of Captain Morgans, almost all Captain Morgans end up being the amber rum. Amber rum's going to have a more full-bodied taste than the light ones and better at standing on their own than a light rum, but still, almost you're never going to see them stand on their own. This is usually the rum people will get with a Jack and Coke, or, you know, something like that, a rum and Coke. So, moving on to some of the higher rums. Aged rums are rums that take place for an aging of at least 3 years. Because rum has to be aged a year to be sold for human consumption. Anything a year to 2 years isn't considered aging a rum, and generally nothing will fall into the aged rum category, at least until it's at the 3-year mark. As far as aging is concerned, it's one of those things. You can age any rum. You can age the silver and white rums, amber rums. This is more common with blackstrap and dark rums, which we'll see, as well as sometimes overproof rum, but that's pretty rare. So dark rums, these are going to be your heavier, more earthy-bodied, full-bodied rums. These are generally what are called sipper rums. They're going to be pricier, more expensive. Most of these have to be imported. Some of the only ones that you're going to find in the States that are stateside are going to be like Kraken, which is still on the lower end for rums. But it does offer a full, earthy-bodied taste. Now, spiced rum can be anywhere in here, and sometimes they'll spice rum, but it's better not to buy spiced rum from a store, and it's better to buy a dark rum and spice it yourself with whatever spices you like so that you know what's going in it and you know what flavors you want to put in it, especially if you're allergic to something. Now, a subcategory of the dark rum is the blackstrap rum. This is a very dark rum, even darker than Kraken, and that's what most people in America are used to for saying a black rum. They're aged in burnt oak barrels. Generally, a blackstrap rum is going to be very heavy on the molasses flavor. They're usually made in burnt whiskey barrels, and most of the time they even have added vanilla and other darkening agents to make them darker. Pretty rare here stateside, but you get out and you can find a couple, you can import a couple, but they're generally of a higher quality than the other rums we've talked about, with the exception of a few dark rums that tend to be sippers. Now, overproof rums. These are going to be 151 rums generally over the 100 proof mark. Bacardi used to make 151. They discontinued that. There's a few other companies right now that make 151. But these are actually most often not drank straight. They're usually used in party drinks or punches, and you water them down considerably. That's why they're made for overproof. It's really to serve large portions of people cheaply and efficiently. So that's where you're going to see most often use in overproof rum, as well as certain performance tricks like blowing fireballs and bananas flambe and some other types of cooking applications. You have to be careful with that though, because it is very flammable. You should always have a stopper on your rums for that. Flavored rums. These are generally the cheapest rum. They're going to be similar to flavored vodkas. They're bottom barrel. They're not that good. They're going to be full of artificial flavors. You'll see them at bars and like a wine cooler is what they are. You know, they're not high quality. Most rum aficionados aren't going to like them, but they're there, they exist, and they serve their purpose. So, in conclusion, I like rum. It's my favorite drink, and we've been stuck now for 2 or 3 weeks, and there's not much to do. So, you know, might have a drink here and there. As always, drink responsibly, stay safe, and make sure you're 21 before you drink. Have a great day. It's my works cited page, but she doesn't need to see that. 'cause I'm